This is lesson 2-1, solving one-step equations. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do here is to answer those four questions, really. Please answer those questions to the right of what you're writing. Pause the video at this point to give yourself a chance to try it on your own. The question is, what is the opposite of addition? And that is subtraction. Obviously, the opposite then of subtraction then becomes addition. The opposite of multiplication is division. And the opposite of division is multiplication. It is important to know that as we move forward. Properties of equality state that any operation can be performed on an equation as long as it is done to both sides of the equation. That is the biggest and most important rule when solving equations, is that whatever you do to one side, you must do to another. The properties of equality include the four arithmetic operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of equality. Here's your procedure for solving one-step equations. The first thing you should do is create a mirror that separates the sides of the equation. You create the mirror at an equal sign. It's basically just drawing a line right down from the equal sign, as you'll see in the examples. Use your opposite operations to isolate or get the variable by itself. Any operations that you do have to be performed to both sides of your created mirror. And please try to be as neat and organized as possible. Equations will get uglier as they get bigger. For the purposes of memorizing our properties, please write the property that you're using to the right of your equation when you're solving it. It's not required, but it is always recommended that you check your work. I will show you how to check your work by testing for truth. Let's start with an example that we'll do together. X plus 9 equals 24. The first thing I want to do is create my mirror at the equation. I draw a line directly straight down from the equal sign. The x has a plus 9 with it. To remove that plus 9, I need to perform the opposite, which is subtracting 9 from both sides. If you want to cross this out like this at this point, you can. That's not typically something I do because it tends to look a little busy for me. That's something optional that you can do if you'd like. My final answer here is x equals 15. I used the subtraction property of equality to get there. So I will write that next to, and spell it correctly, I'll write that next to my problem to show that that's what I used to solve the equation. To check, I take my original equation and I plug in what I found for x. I then simplify both sides of the equation. In this case, I only have to simplify the left. 15 plus 9 in my calculator is 24. And since 24 is equal to 24, I have a good solution. Here's another example. Pause the video at this point to give yourself a chance to try it on your own. Again, I'll create my mirror at the equal sign. This time I'm going to add 13.2 to both sides using the addition property of equality. And notice this time I use symbols just to make it a little quicker for me. That's acceptable if you'd like to do that. Z in this case is equal to 21.7. To do my check, I plug in 21.7. And in my calculator, I do 21.7 minus 13.2 and get 8.5. Here's another example for you to try. Pause the video at this point to give yourself a chance to try it on your own. This time I can see, after I draw my mirror, that the relationship between the 7 and the x is multiplication. I'm going to divide both sides by 7 this time using the division property of equality. I end up with x equal to 3. In my check, I plug 3 in for x. 7 times 3 in my calculator is 21, and 21 is equal to 21, so I have a good solution. Here's one more example for you to try. Pause the video at this point to give yourself a chance to try it on your own. The y and the 4 are related by division. To get rid of that, I need to multiply both sides by 4. Using the multiplication property of equality, my final answer now is y equals 96. My check is simply to put my 96 in for y, simplify that side to get 24 equal to 24. If you're having any issues with any portion of this lesson, please make sure you are emailing me or consulting me in class.